Tejo searched his memory. Where had it all gone wrong? The forest's scent thickened, mingling with the smell of the photo studio darkroom. The gorilla's gaze still held him, captive the memory of fingertips brushing the camera lens. Min Cheol's voice smiling, "Brother, if you go into the forest, another life awaits you." The gorilla's eyes in the photograph locked on him for a moment. Silence weighed heavily around him, the darkroom air, the chemical tang of developer, the tension pressing against his chest. Min Cheol nudged the table. "It's better than just developing photos anyway." Tejo hesitated. "Are you saying I should go into the jungle and be a hunter?" Min Cheol nodded. "Brother, let's go into the forest. Catch a gorilla, and life will guarantee us a few years. No more hiding in a tiny room." The smell of film, photos, and chemicals brushed Tejo's fingers and nose, but the possibility of another life filled his mind. Jungle, hunting, freedom, survival. Each word pounded his heart. He took a deep breath and met Min Cheol's eyes. "Gorilla business a one-shot turnaround? Hyung, if you just worry, nothing will change. Go into the forest and catch a gorilla, your life will change. It's far better than spending every day brooding in silence." Min Cheol's optimism never faltered. He patted his camera bag. "If it seems impossible, make it possible." That's the motto of the Airborne Division. Making it possible is just a question of who gets their first camera or gun. Tejo's chest tightened. His words came out haltingly. He closed his eyes. The forest was no longer a place of freedom. It wasn't for running or hunting, it was endless interrogation. Since parting from Min Cheol in the middle of the night, he had ceased being a hunter. He no longer felt the pull of a gun. He felt like a cornered animal in an unfamiliar jungle. The air hung heavy and sorrowful. The gorilla's gaze remained fixed. His palm, gripping the gun, was drenched in sweat. He couldn't tell if the beads running down his neck were cold or hot. The failure in the jungle, the moments of being chased, the resolve he had forged facing. Min Cheol all came flooding back as he walked the current path. Photographs are like threads that untie memories, a key unlocking what had been buried deep inside forgotten, hidden things. Otangs gently rested an arm on Min Cheol's shoulder. Her hand wasn't heavy, but radiated a quiet security. Min Cheol paused, downed his Guinness, and smiled sheepishly. The metallic glass glinted darkly in the dim light. Tejo exhaled. "That's right, Min Cheol. The world outside is chaotic, but here there's time to breathe." Min Cheol stared out the window for a moment, then rested his hand on the table. "Tejo, sometimes it's unbearable. Having to show what's inside in front of people, it's too much." Tejo patted his shoulder. "Yes, it's hard, but you're not alone. I'm here. Otangs is here. We're standing with you so you can face those memories. No matter what happens, you're not alone." Min Cheol bit his lip, whispering, "If the photo is the key, then I have to find it now." Tejo nodded. "Yes, slowly, one by one. No one's in a hurry." The only sounds were the wind and the waves of the Cross River. From across the river, he gestured. He seemed to try to say something, but to turn my head. His voice blended with the wind I pretended not to hear. Min Cheol's back receded across the white sand, Otangs. Beside him, their paths diverging. No cries, no gestures could bring back the time we had walked together. In the dark room, the photograph's afterimage shifted. Not the gorilla's gaze now, but faces trampled by clubs and gun barrels. Bloodshot eyes, wailing voices, the square's dust. Instead of the mechanical hum of film, a helicopter's rotor roared in my ears. "Min Cheol, Airborne Unit Chant, stop making noise." Tejo's vision shook violently. Min Cheol paused. "Brother, I'm sorry." Back then, his voice was light but fractured. His gaze burned with hope and conviction. Yet his words were unreliable. Photography had been a livelihood. Each roll of film earned money, supported his family. Ledgers measured costs, profits. It was business. Eichel's smell assaulted my senses. Film and photographs, preserved in darkness, held memories. He had brought a roll of film and a camera. I turned away from the light and left the darkroom. The waves crashing on white sand sounded like soldiers marching not a victorious parade, but the relentless march of defeat. Around noon, by a quiet river overgrown with water plants, we trudged toward our parking spot. The jungle entrance loomed in shadow. Heavy humidity muffled the labored breaths of our companions. Alphonse led, followed by Peter and Tejo, each step heavy. As the sun sank westward, a familiar French voice called from below. The rear door of the Pajero SUV swung. open and a gunshot cracked from the forest. As the door slammed, another shot rang. "Get down!" Alphonse shouted, ducking. Peter and I exchanged a glance and reacted instantly. Grass swayed, a shadow moved. "Stop! Who's there?" A sharp voice cut through the air. Alphonse crouched, gun raised. A branch snapped, a figure leapt. Peter yanked me behind the car. "Careful, don't move!" Gunfire erupted. "Stop! Hands up!" Two soldiers emerged, barking orders. We retreated. They closed in, surrounding. Peter resisted, then was pinned by boots thrown to the ground. Handcuffs snapped, a reminder the way back was blocked. It felt like the start of a deeper judgment. Soon, we were led to an old guard post at the jungle's edge. Peter cuffed to an iron chair, the other side Tae-ho was. Alphonse looked around, pale, eyes lighting up at the sergeant's presence. He hurried over. "Sergeant, last time, when I requested illegal entry, I recalled the bribe Alphonse must have offered. But the sergeant's face was rigid, head turned away. You are trespassing in a military zone, especially crossing the border illegally. Show me your visa hunting permit." Alphonse pleaded, "Sergeant, I have all documents, even a firearms permit. Let me return to the vehicle, I'll show you now." The sergeant snorted, clueless. What good would that do me? Alphonse's face hardened. Only then did he realize this was the beginning, not the end. He frantically searched my pockets. The crumpled bills he grasped brought a fleeting relief, like clutching a last blade of grass in a swamp. Secretly handed to him, the sergeant's stone face softened into a subtle, sinister smile. He coughed, nodding. You're a guide, so let's assume the documentation is fine. We still must follow procedure. I don't know what to put in my report today." The sergeant's footsteps faded beyond the iron gate. I turned to Alphonse. "All the money's gone. The risks are high. How do we recover?" Irritation flashed across Alphonse's face. "You're not the client now. The contract is over," Peter shouted. "Didn't you pay the border guards up front? Who embezzled it?" Alphonse exhaled, swallowing a laugh. "Greed? Embezzlement? You saw it. Money here isn't simple. Once you enter illegally, chaos follows. It's not evidence, it's choice. Jail or freedom." Peter suddenly stood, fists clenched. "So you knew everything? Who spent it? Who stole it?" Alphonse sighed and swallowed a laugh. "Greed? Embezzlement? You all saw what happens. Money here, it doesn't move the way you think. Once an outsider is smuggled in, things explode. It's no longer about proof, it's about choice. Stay in the cell or don't." From the corner of the room, Peter suddenly rose, fists clenched. "So you knew everything? Who spent it? Who skimmed it?" His voice trembled with a helpless, furious energy. Alphonse shook his head. "I don't know. But one thing is certain, someone leaked our internal information. And it likely came from above. If we get caught here, they'll use us as scapegoats and keep their trade going." Tae-ho swallowed his anger and said, "So what are we supposed to do? Sit here and keep blaming each other until we all die?" Alphonse's anxiety intensified. "We need to grab a phone and urgently try to contact someone. Call the Korean embassy, ask for consular or attaché assistance. Otherwise, the price we pay will only get higher." The room turned colder. Tae-ho lost his words for a moment, his eyes flickered. His head was clouded. If this blew up, the press would dig. Names would be dragged through, the mud records would remain. Maybe this was something best buried, something that had to be covered up. Alphonse watched him cautiously. Peter turned silently to the window. No one pressed him, but the silence felt heavier than any accusation. Tae-ho lowered his head slowly. "All right, I'll make the call." His voice was low, the chill in the room didn't lift. When he looked up, Alphonse's face showed both relief and disappointment at once. The iron gate clanked open again and an older officer entered. "Alphonse, come with me for a moment." Alphonse looked up. He blinked as if the spotlight had turned toward him, and then shot Tae-ho a short, tense smile. "Good. Looks like whatever pull I used reached higher. I'll take care of what's left." He let go of Peter's wrist lightly, and when the guard approached, walked toward the door without hesitation. A short while later, the lock on the detention cell clattered, and our group was let out still handcuffed. "Alphonse, don't send them to headquarters. Let's end it here." He was released. "But we have to file a report at the Limbe police station. If you get rearrested, nobody knows what'll happen." Those words were both a threat and the final seal on a covert deal.